inspiring that next generation.
Oh, really cool shot of her elementary school.
Ooh, a little different than basketball press conference. A lot of media in here today. I guess I'm gonna start with y'all today, right now. First off, I just thank y'all for covering me and all the exposure that you gave me, my family.
I think more than anything, I'm just really excited. I think this is a dream. This is something I wrote down on a piece of paper when I was in second grade, get a basketball scholarship, play in the WNBA. This is always something I wanted to do.
Caitlin Clark has finally reached her breaking point with the WNBA, and she's not holding back anymore. For months, fans have watched her get overlooked, sidelined, and snubbed, while other players were handed the spotlight. Through it all, Caitlin kept her head down and let her game speak for itself, breaking records, selling out arenas, and bringing in a wave of new fans to the league. But now, she's speaking up, and what she's saying is striking a nerve. The truth is, this was never just about talent. It's about who the league decides to promote. While Caitlin was rewriting history on the court, the WNBA was busy building campaigns around others, giving out the interviews, highlight reels, and media packages, all while acting like her impact was just a side note. Yet, anyone watching knows the reality. Caitlin is the reason ticket sales are skyrocketing. Arenas are packed, and viewership is hitting new highs. Even reporters have admitted it right to her face. At this point, fans are asking the same question. Why keep downplaying the player who's bringing in more excitement than the league has seen in years? Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the game, she's forcing the WNBA to face a reality they can't ignore any longer.
In full swing. I heard that season tickets are going like blazes in Indiana. Have you heard that rumor?
I have heard that rumor. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think they're selling pretty well.
Clark is also part of the reason why a record 18.9 million viewers tuned in to this year's NCAA championship game, making women's basketball must-see TV. One of the really great things about this season has been watching all of the little kids, most of them little girls, who are so inspired to play basketball because of you. What does that mean to you?
I think that's the reason you do it, and just to see them scream your name or have your jersey on, that's something that never gets old.
Now this is where things start looking real questionable. In ESPN's mid-season player rankings, Caitlin Clark slid from her preseason top 4 spot all the way down to number 9. And instead of giving her credit for the insane pressure she's been under, sold out arenas, cameras following her every move, she just got quietly pushed down the list. Meanwhile, Brittney Griner stayed locked in at the top, like the script was already written. If you think this drop was only about performance, let's be real. Even at number 9, Caitlin is still the biggest reason fans are showing up and tuning in. The league can spin it as honoring veterans all they want, but to a lot of people, that excuse feels hollow. And Caitlin, she's clearly overplaying along with the PR game. After yet another game where headlines focused more on who shoved her than the plays she made, a reporter asked about the pressure she's facing, how it feels to be turned into a storyline she never asked for. And this time, instead of giving the safe "I'm just here to hoop" response, she paused and let something real slip. Here's the clip.
She felt that frustration, that you all were feeling that frustration. So what did you see from her and able to really lead that charge?
I mean, she brings that energy every single day, so really happy for her.
Caitlin Clark doesn't just talk to talk. Every word she puts out there has weight. So when she paused, looked visibly fed up, and finally admitted she was frustrated, that wasn't random. That was her way of saying, yeah, I see what's happening, and I'm not going along with it anymore. What's telling is how she handles it. She's never called out the players fouling her, never dragged anyone by name. Even when reporters push her to stir up the respect debate, she shuts it down and redirects back to her team, her game, and the basketball itself. But fans aren't blind. They see a league that seems to bend over backwards for some players, while acting like Caitlin should just smile and take whatever comes her way, and they're getting fed up. Case in point, a comment that went viral online. Never watched a game until Caitlin arrived. Pretty sure millions of us are in the same boat. And that's not just hype. The numbers back it up. Attendance, ticket sales, TV ratings, all spiking when she plays. So why does it feel like the league keeps pushing her to the background? And if you think that was just a misunderstanding, think again. Because what the league did next didn't just feel petty, it felt intentional. They handed the spotlight straight to Brittney Griner. Ever since her return from that highly publicized time overseas, the WNBA has been in full promo mode, painting her as the comeback story of the league. Just look at her ESPN Future It framed her return as a redemption arc. not just for her, but almost for the entire league.
But I would have rather been in a 2-a-day dying, and than to be where I was. So just looking forward to being back to that. Am I exactly where I want to be? No, but I'm on the right track to getting there. That's for sure. I will say that.
And here's the thing, no one's denying that Brittney Griner went through a tough situation overseas. That was serious, and it shook the sports world. But at the same time, we can't ignore what's happening right now. The league seems more invested in pushing that comeback story than highlighting the player who's actually driving ticket sales, breaking viewership records, and honestly, keeping the lights on. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there taking hits. She's being shoved mid-court, hacked on plays, and hit with hard fouls that too often don't get called. And it's not just once in a while. There are entire highlight reels from creators breaking down how frequently she's fouled. And the crazy part, the way it gets brushed off like it's just part of the game.
All of this stuff adds up. People always want to just use like the really big fouls that don't get called. It's like, oh my God, can you believe this wasn't going to get called? The reason why I'm really trying to highlight this is because this is what goes on all game. Every single game. Every single possession. It's endless. And it will wear you down. Wear you down.
It almost feels like the league is trying to push Caitlin out without ever having to say it out loud. And fans, they're calling it exactly how they see it. One viral comment summed it up better than any headline could. A rookie comes in, boosts her team's value, sells out arenas, spikes TV ratings, and helps secure better contracts. And instead of lifting her up, they let her get beat down with flagrant fouls like it's no big deal. That's not just frustration talking, that's reality fans can see with their own eyes. Remember, right after the draft, Caitlin had the whole basketball world watching. The WNBA was finally buzzing, and yet ESPN skipped her for any kind of primetime spotlight. No big sit-down interview, no one-on-one feature, nothing. And let's not forget, this is the same rookie who just shattered NCAA records. You'd think the league would have leaned all the way in, but instead, silence. She already did the pre-draft interviews, so it's not like she wasn't available, which makes the post-draft blackout even louder. Here's a quick throwback from that pre-draft. Media Day just to remind everyone what the league passed. Up when they chose to ghost her instead of making her the face of their future.
Caitlin, the question I get about you all the time is how will your game transcend into the WNBA? How do you see that fit?
I think the biggest thing is my passing, and I think that's kind of what people overlooked at times in college is like people just love the scoring so much, and don't get me wrong, I love shooting the ball, but I think that's the biggest thing, and obviously being surrounded by so much talent, no matter where I end up, is like the league is loaded with so many people, and I think that's something that I've always had a knack for from a very young age. I grew up playing soccer and understanding angles and seeing the game before, it even happened.
And while Caitlin was being ghosted by the networks, Angel Reese was stacking endorsement deals left and right. This is the same Angel who's built a reputation for playing with attitude, throwing shade in interviews, getting physical midcourt, and turning nearly every game she's in into a headline.
I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too, and I want y'all to realize that.
So let's get this straight. Caitlin Clark gets sidelined for being too focused, too professional, and too consistent, while Angel Reese, with all her flair and drama, gets pushed as the face of the league. And when you start breaking down the money, the double standard really jumps out. Both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese do rookies, literally carrying the WNBA's spotlight, making somewhere between $76,000 and $80,000 a year. That's the rookie max. That's all they get, even with record ticket sales and viewership on their backs. Meanwhile, Brittney Griner is on a Supermax deal worth around $215,000 year-round. That's after already taking a pay cut. And here's the kicker. When she went overseas to play in Russia for a bigger paycheck, the conversation everywhere turned to the WNBA's pay problem. Even major news outlets called it out.
Let's remember why she went to Russia. She went to Russia because they don't make enough money here based on their talents to support themselves. So after a harrowing year, Ms. Griner finally returning to the court, but she's going to take a pay cut to do it after 9 months of wrongful detainment in Russia.
And when you start connecting the dots, it all feels a little too intentional. The league seems to want a very specific type of face attached to its brand. If you don't fit that mold, you risk being sidelined or silenced. And this isn't a brand new conversation either. Former WNBA player Candace Wiggins spoke out years ago, saying she felt pushed out of the league not for her skills, but because she didn't fit in with the culture. She claimed that from the moment she joined Minnesota, she became a target. Why? Because she didn't play by what she called the league's unspoken image rules. According to her, that meant don't stand out too much, don't go against the grain, and definitely don't break the mold of what the league wants its players to represent.
For the first time in an extensive interview, former WNBA player Candace Wiggins said the league's culture was full of bullying and jealousy. Wiggins told the San Diego Union Tribune that she was frowned upon as a straight woman, claiming 98% of WNBA players are gay, adding, "People were deliberately trying to hurt me all of the time. I'd never been called the B word so many times in my life than I was in my rookie season. I'd never been thrown to the ground so much." Message was, "We want you to know we don't like you." Wiggins believed her pride in being a woman didn't fit well in the culture.
Here's how one WNBA journalist put it. And by the way, she flipped the narrative saying that other players haven't made the same complaint, which only fueled the debate even more.
The time, that's something they, want to comment on because all the people that I've talked to said that hasn't been there.
And now it feels like history is repeating itself with Caitlyn. Same dynamic, just different faces. As most fans know, she's dating Connor McCaffrey, and she's been open about that in interviews. Whether people want to admit it or not, that makes her stand out in a league that's often leaned into branding itself around certain cultural and social narratives. She hasn't shied away from mentioning her boyfriend publicly, and that alone sets her apart from the image the league usually highlights. In case you missed it, here's the clip.
Yeah.
Will Bay be here?
Who?
Is Bay gonna be here?
No, he's working. Yeah. Yeah, I'm flying solo. I better get used to it, man. This is the pro. This is my job.
So here's the question. Why does Brittney get treated like royalty while Caitlyn gets treated like a punching bag? Angel Reese can get in her face. Kennedy Carter can deliver a hit that looks way over the linen somehow. The WNBA just lets it go. One fan comment summed it up perfectly. Caitlin Clark is getting knocked around on the court, and the refs always seem to miss it, even when it's right in front of them. And that's really the point. This isn't just about fairness. It isn't even just about safety. To a lot of fans, it feels like it's about imagand, about humbling the player who doesn't fit the script. And if you think the WNBA won't go far to protect that image, just watch how quickly they'll step in for Brittney, even if it means Caitlyn gets dragged down in the process.